Kia ora, Whānau. Good evening, everyone. Everyone here in Aotearoa who's watching our Facebook live chat for this evening. Tonight, we are going to have a chat about creating budget-friendly family meal ideas, which me and Linda will have a bit of a chat to you about this tonight. Um, Firstly, my name is Roscelyne. I am a PlunketLine nurse. I have been working in PlunketLine for maybe 7 to 8 years now. And I'm also a mom of two lovely girls. So I have a 9-year-old and a 4-year-old. And yeah, we're just here to enjoy and have fun. And if you have guys any questions, any concerns, or anything that you want to ask, pop it in the comments section, and we'd be more than happy to answer some of your questions tonight. And I'll give the floor to Linda to introduce herself. Kia ora, Linda.
Hi, Rosalind, everyone at home. Thanks for joining us. My name is Linda. I'm a community service coordinator for Hamilton. I am a solo mother of two, so this topic is definitely something I'm passionate about, making your budget stretch a bit further. I'm excited to see what everyone else's tips and advices as well, because I'm sure at home you have some as well. So it'll be good.
Yeah, we'll be learning from each other, so that's
Yeah.
really great. And I think it's quite timely, Linda, because what's now? It's the 26th of October now, just quite a couple more days before it's Christmas. So it's very timely topic, I guess. Um, so all right. So today, what we'll be covering and what you would be expecting from me and Linda, is probably the meal prepping, pros and cons of meal prepping, those who want to prepare meals at home or not, the making versus buying, I guess. And, of course, we all know that not everyone has got all the time in the world, versus the money that you're going to spending and saving. And again, some, I guess, tips and tricks, like what are in seasons and whatnot, and some meal ideas for parents and kids as well. Um, and I guess, Linda, we all know, right? Like with the cost of living at the moment, we all understand that lots and lots of people are looking to save money. And food bill, I guess, is one of the, places or best places to start. Hey, um, what is some opening advice that you would have for our fan now, Linda?
I think really it comes down to preparation
Mm,
and organizing yourself, which is sometimes a bit daunting because, as you know, having children, there's only so much
mm,
time that you have. But I think
exactly.
it really comes down to trying to find that time. And it doesn't have
Mm,
to be long, it could be 10 minutes to just
yeah.
meal prep. Sometimes people do like a ritual on a Sunday.
Oh,
Could be
yeah.
after the kids go to bed, 10 minutes, meal prep. It could be in a slow cooker. But
Mm,
one of the things that I really go by is meal prepping those meals for the 7 days. So then
oh,
that way, when
wow.
you go to the supermarket, you know exactly what you need for each meal.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
Mm-hmm.
if you aren't doing that preparation, you kind of just walk through the aisles going, I'll get a bit of this, I'll get a bit of that. And then sometimes you get home and go, I don't know what I'm making. I haven't got
Yeah.
everything I need for a meal. And then that's when we're kind of overspending and it's so easily done.
True.
So,
True.
yeah, it really comes down to having to sit down, even 10 minutes, writing down a few ideas and trying to go off that. And although it's daunting, it's really important to see if you can find that time. And at the end of the day, it will be better on the
Mm,
pocket.
exactly. Yeah, because sometimes when you're in the supermarket, you just pick whatever and you think, oh yeah, this is on sale and this is on special, but then not realizing that you got a whole bunch of things that you don't need in the end.
Mm,
Mm,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Mm. And also I think like it's good to sort of head onto your local veggie shops as well. Like, do you also do that, Linda? Like shop on local veggie markets and wet markets?
Yeah, definitely. So
Mm.
we also have your community houses, and often they will actually have
Mm.
like a veggie and fruit pack. So for let's say $25, and they buy it from
Oh
the
wow.
buy it from the local places. And so you'll
Mm.
often get a bit of a better deal going through the community houses. And they're really great at this time because they do all their specials on Facebook. And so you can see
Mm.
everything. You don't necessarily have to go in all the time. You can see and order online or on the phone.
Awesome.
and pick up that $15 veggie and fruit box or $25 veggie and fruit box.
Mm,
Even just your local fruit and veggie store. Sometimes they'll have a
mm,
Facebook and you can go up and see the specials before you go in, which
mm,
is handy
mm.
for parents because, you can't really spend all this time going to stores that don't have the specials or you've got the kids and it's a bit of a juggle in a supermarket with children.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
yeah, so definitely going for your fruit and veggie stores. If you're a big meat eater, or your family's a big meat eater, shopping at,
Mm,
Mad Butcher and looking for those bigger packages and those deals. Um,
lots.
it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you end up doing your weekly kind of budgeting, it does start to impact it and you realize those savings.
Mm,
So just finding your local favorite shops that have those
right.
specials. You can also go and count down and pack and save, and they'll show those specials on there. A lot of parents do online shopping now, so they avoid
Mm,
going into the shops, which is nice if you're a little bit
yeah.
daunting. It's a little bit daunting to juggle the kids,
Mm,
um,
mm.
and then that way you don't buy excessive stuff or too many treats because they just look quite good. I know,
Yep.
I know yeah, I know that. And the kids kind of try
Mm.
and persuade you to put it in the shopping trolley.
Yes, I've heard that yesterday. I think I was a bit like, oh, we don't have this, mommy. Oh gosh, okay. Yep,
Hmm.
let's pop that in there. But yeah, no, I think being, like as well, being focused on your list, eh? I mean, I know that
Mm.
it's hard if you got your kids with you all the time and you don't have the luxury of doing online shoppings. I mean, probably you'll be thinking of, um, the extra $5 or so with delivery as well. So you might also
Yeah.
yeah, there are also a little bit of a cost say with delivery and all that stuff, but there's also the click and collect, which is I think a little bit
Yeah.
less. Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
think some of them, if you
Mm,
spend X amount, then you can, if you're doing a
yeah,
fortnightly shop, let's say, then you might be able to get
yeah.
that for free.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So there's lots of options.
Mm,
I feel like it's just finding what works for you and your lifestyle as well.
absolutely,
If you always do have the kids, perhaps that online shop is better. But I think
absolutely.
really important just to write down those meals. And it could just be on a whiteboard, it can be on a notepad, but
Mm,
dividing it up into Monday and Sunday and realizing,
mm,
okay, what do we like to eat? Are we big meat eaters?
mm,
Are we not? And trying to figure out kind of a nice balance of obviously
mm.
really diverse foods, but also
Yeah,
on your budget.
on your
Yeah.
budget. Yeah, that's right.
Mm.
And we're also talking about like the bulk cook-up, say Linda, about how you can get more organized with, with bulk cooking and I guess organizing and meal prepping as well. So we're also talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So
Mm,
this is one that I love because as a solo mother
mm,
to two and I work, there's not a whole
mm,
lot of time left over. So meal prepping for me
mm,
has been a
mm,
lifesaver
mm.
because then I also get to spend more time with my kids. That's quality time and not kind of,
Good.
in the kitchen and not being able to spend a whole lot of time with them.
Mm,
So you can meal prep. Let's say you're going to make spaghetti bolognese. You can meal
mm,
prep that sauce. So if you eat meat, it would be minced meat. You could put spinach. They can be frozen spinach. You don't need to always
mm,
buy fresh if that's not within your budget. That's all right.
mm,
You can put in a bit of the onion and some grated carrot. You can make all
mm.
that and you can actually just put them into Tupperware containers and freeze that. And
Yeah.
so let's say you're having a really crazy day and you're racing home with the kids, you can pull that
Mm,
out in the morning. And all you've got to do at home now is just to boil up some pasta and grate
yeah.
some cheese. So it really does mean that you're not going to go past the takeaways at home, on the way
Yeah.
home because it's already prepped and it doesn't
Yeah.
take a whole lot of time. And if you have the freezer space, then it's quite good. I have a small freezer and I put them
Mm,
in little glad wrap bags,
yep.
and that works for me. So yeah, I mean, you can invest in a slow cooker. They're
Mm,
not too
mm.
expensive. The small ones now, you can cook a big beef stew, lasagnas, shepherd's pies, all that kind of
That's
stuff
right.
freezes really well. Um,
Mm,
and you can bulk out your meals as well with obviously chickpeas and lentils because we
mm.
all know meat isn't the cheapest in New
No,
Zealand.
I
So
know.
Yeah, so really trying to stretch out that meal. And if you've got a big family,
Mm,
trying to put in a bit of chickpeas and things can kind of
true.
stretch that a bit further. Get a few more servings in there, maybe even lunch the next day.
That's right. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. So you can at least recycle your food. If you haven't finished the
yeah,
whole lot at nighttime, then someone else can have it again at breakfast if you like.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's not always a bad thing to, I guess, you know, eat your leftovers the next day. Some people find it much more nicer if you eat it the second time around.
Mm,
But others probably would prefer having them, like having their warm meals as well and all that stuff. Um,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I guess one of the best tips for family as well is that, food prep is one of the ways to save money on food throughout the week. But what kinds of food do we think, Linda, is kept well in a week's time frame? Like you did
In a week.
mention that, yeah, you did mention a few like the shepherd's pie and all that stuff. But yeah, I guess that's well kept over a week.
Yeah, yeah. And there's also like, you don't always have to just rely on yourself because, as we all know,
Mm,
once you have kids, sometimes it's quite hard to rely
exactly.
on your memory all the time. And so I often
True.
refer to like the Edmonds recipe on the
Yes.
internet. They've got
Yeah.
heaps of recipe ideas. Even
Mm,
Countdown, they have recipe ideas, that are
yeah.
relatively straightforward. Countdown are great because they show you exactly what you need.
Mm,
And
mm.
you can write that shopping list. Um,
Yes.
yeah, there's a lady I follow called VJ Cooks. She's wonderful. Just puts it on Facebook
Mm,
and shows you exactly the ingredients. If you are into the library, you can go and
mm,
hire a book or borrow a book out.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is fantastic, just to try and get some of those ideas to go, okay, what can I make? And it's
Mm,
not just main meals, you can make snacks for the kids. I know that's a
mm.
big expenditure in that budget because kids
That's
just like to
true.
snack all the time.
Mm, yep.
Yeah. And so if
Mm,
can make maybe something from the Edmonds recipe online,
mm.
those options, then you can freeze those as well. You can make a
Oh,
nice slice banana bread, and it is more than likely healthier option than the processed
store-bought
packaged stuff
ones.
anyway. I think it's just
Mm,
getting into that
mm,
ritual and that habit of creating some time to do that. And
mm.
it takes 3 months to create a habit, so it's not something that's going to happen overnight. But once you
That's
start
true.
to see how much easier your life is with the kids, I've found
Mm,
it, okay, this is actually a really positive thing. And I get that downtime to enjoy right before we have dinner with the
true.
children, as opposed to cutting up everything. And you might get a little bit flustered. There's so much to do and so little time in those witching hours.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And
Mm,
everyone's tired. You're tired. The kids are tired waiting for their dinner. So it's
yeah.
really good to have something that's quite easy and within reach as well. And also, of course, we want everything within our budget range.
Mm,
Um, Yeah, and if you're also like, I think we're also talking about Linda, I think raiding your pantry every now and again, just to make sure that you have a checklist of your stocks, what's in the pantry and what's not, eh?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that monthly. And it's
Mm-hmm.
quite fun because you do get creative. And sometimes I
Yes.
involve my kids. My oldest one is 7. And so I
Yeah.
go, we've got these 3 ingredients. What can we make out of this? Or what can
Yeah.
we make with only buying one more ingredient?
Yeah.
And obviously within, you still need it healthy, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
quite fun to get them involved. If they're a little bit older and go, oh, we can make this
Mm,
or this. And
that's
involved
true.
in that cooking process as well. And I think it's a great thing to set the kids up knowing that, to be planned is a good thing. And it
Yeah.
doesn't always go according to plan, but I think just having some sort of guide or time where you allow in that week
Mm.
to prep yeah, it's a great thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think another option as well, like if you're feeling brave enough, you can go to like I think there's what they call like pack and save AI recipe generator,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
You go there and you put in the ingredients and it makes the whole recipe for you. But of course for
Mhm.
adventurers and whatnot, so all of this stuff. Um
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I'm the
But
same, yeah, I guess on the same note of pantries, like you're doing your stock take at the same time, you're making sure that nothing is going to waste, or something
Exactly.
that's out of expiry date already, just making sure that you have eaten
Mm.
all of those foods already before they go out of date, isn't it? Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. And I think
Mm.
as well, like often when you go to the supermarket, you'll see all these
Mm.
prices. It's a bit overwhelming, really. There's so much stuff,
Yeah.
products and prices and specials, and sometimes you can't really decipher through everything.
No.
But one tip that
Yeah.
I found out was you go on the label, you'll see that it says cost per 100 grams. And that
Oh,
for
yep.
me has meant that I've actually saved money because I'm buying a bigger pack, but per 100 grams it's cheaper than the other pack I would have
Mm.
gone for. And so
Mm.
that would last me longer. Um,
Mm.
so I try and just go into that label and go, okay, per 100 grams, and it's on every label. And it's especially good in the dairy section for me because we eat a lot
Yeah.
of dairy. So I see, okay, I might as well buy that bigger pack, and it's going to last me longer, and it's
Mm.
cheaper per 100 grams. So I'll go for
That's a
that
good tip.
one. Yeah, and
Mm.
not being
Mm.
shy of using those frozen veggies,
Mm.
because fresh is great, but it's not
Mm.
always viable for everyone. And
No.
so, yeah, mixing that up and going, okay, let's put a bit of something in the or canned
Yeah.
tins and things like that. Just mixing it up a wee bit so you can make it go a bit further. Yeah.
Mm. Cool. Yeah. So you've talked a little bit about the checking the price per 100 grams in the supermarket, Linda. What are some general tips that people can bear in mind when making, like, and sticking to the budget-friendly meals that we have? Like, is there any like tools that we can use or any apps?
Sure. So I think at the end of the day, it's your behavior around money, and that's not always
Mm.
instilled in you when you're young. It's something you kind of have to learn, and we are always
Mm.
learning that. And it's, I think, making ourselves accountable and rechecking in is quite
Yeah.
important. So there's awesome apps,
Mm.
and I think we can put up a link of one of the apps where you can put in what you've spent, with
Mm.
the grocery bill, and kind of track that a bit. And that way, at the end of the month, you go, okay, have we stayed
Mm.
within that limit? And if we haven't, why not? I know that going to the supermarket, you do your shop, and then maybe you
Yeah.
realize you have to go back and get more fresh fruit or more
Mm.
bread or milk or eggs and things like that. And so what you're seeing on your receipt at Pack and Save or Countdown isn't necessarily the true cost of what your
Mm.
family are needing for your food. So just knowing that real cost, and if you need extra help with that, the community houses have really good
Mm.
financial advisors, and they're free.
Oh, yep.
So they'll
Mm-hmm.
go through a bit of a plan with you and behaviors around money. And everyone's got different behaviors around money. Nothing's good or bad. It's just realizing where you're at,
Mm.
what your
True.
goals are. You might be struggling just paycheck to paycheck and you just want to reduce that. So you have a bit of excess,
Mm.
wages and income. So you want to save that, or what your goal is at
Yeah.
the end of the day, and work a real plan that's appropriate to you. So reach out to the local community houses because they're a really good resource that I find most people don't think about. And anyone can reach out to them. More often than not, all their services are free for the community.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll work out a bit of a plan for you and your
Awesome.
family. Yeah, they're really good. All super friendly. I love them.
Oh, cool, cool. I wish everyone have that in all areas. But I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure there's something that will work in every community, isn't it? Yeah. And I think we're also talking about going out in the community and all that, like when you go out, making sure that you take snack box with you if you've got littlies
Mm.
or, little ones with you
Yes.
all the time. I think
Yes.
it's good rather than, like what you said earlier, going out and buying
Yeah.
takeaways and ending up
Yeah.
spending money instead of just enjoying your family outside. Yeah.
Yes, I have. My littlest one is a toddler, nearly
Mm.
2, and he's a big eater. And so I actually keep a esky in my car with
Yeah.
just snacks at all times,
Yeah.
and that's helped me on numerous occasions when we
True.
maybe had stayed out a bit later, or racing to my daughter's after school care activity and we haven't got a
Mm,
snack. And so just being prepared with something in the car that I can
mm,
give him has stopped me from going to, somewhere on the road that means you spend a
mm.
bit more money on something
Yeah,
you, necessarily didn't want to give them, or whatever else.
absolutely.
Yeah, so just being prepared, which isn't always easy as a parent, we know,
No.
but finding what works for you. If that meal prep or that organization, you can only allow 10 minutes, then so be it. You work with that.
Mm,
If you can allow
absolutely.
half an hour, work with that. It's whatever looks realistic to you,
Mm, mm.
and your lifestyle and kids, and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And there are also some food like, some leftovers that you can use, like, say, for the next day, isn't it? That is, edible for families. Sometimes kids probably might not want to eat leftovers the next day, but
Yeah.
as parents, we were the ones who's left
Mhm.
eating the leftovers every now and again. But I guess
Yeah,
it's a go buy cook once, eat twice principle, which saves our time and money as well. So sometimes it
totally.
does help, eh? Yeah.
Yeah,
What
like
would
for
you?
example, if you have a roast one night and you've got leftover
Mm,
roast chicken, you can then make
yeah,
pizzas the next day with even wrap
yeah,
bases, mini
exactly.
pizzas with that leftover
Mm,
chicken. There's heaps of things that you can kind of reuse and be creative,
mm,
and yeah,
mm, mm.
definitely makes it stretch, and like you say, it then just doesn't go in the bin. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And food's definitely one of the largest costs to any household, isn't it? But what do you think are other things that people might look at if they're trying to save money? Like you've mentioned earlier about the free financial advisor in our local community houses. Yeah, what other things do you think might people look at if we are really tight on the budget?
So I think obviously your rent or mortgage is your
Hmm.
main expense.
That's
Food
right.
is usually the next expense for families before the power bill or the gas bill. So if you're trying to, you can't get your rent down, can't get the mortgage down, unfortunately, with interest rates right now, but you're looking at that food bill, trying to restrict where you can and what's appropriate for
Yeah.
you. And then it would be like your power bill and your gas bill. And there's really awesome resources out there that can compare
Mm,
the usage. And so perhaps you're not on the best plan for your family if you are home
mm,
during the day and you're on a plan that means it's still quite high, the cost of that. So making sure that you're on the right plan and even comparing those different companies and saying, is actually
mm,
this the best deal I can get for phone plans, gas, everything like that.
mm.
Something for me that has helped me not only to save money, but mentally is to live more minimalistically. So realizing
Okay.
that our kids don't need an excess of toys, they don't need
Mm,
an excess of, you know, clothes, really looking at what we have, and if is that enough to
mm,
last us that season for clothes, then that's fine. So
mm.
really kind of going, do we need this? And for me it means less cleaning, less clutter,
Good
and
idea.
it's helped, yeah, it helped me in terms of sanity as a mother
Yeah.
to go, there's not as much stuff here. um,
Mm,
and only living kind of within your means and going, I don't really think we need it, do we? And my daughter loves baby dolls, and if we had it her way, she'd get a million baby dolls, but we don't
yeah,
need
yeah,
a
yeah.
million baby dolls, do we? So
Yeah.
it's just within reason, trying to live a bit more of a minimalistic lifestyle, and also just doing activities that are free. And in
Mm,
New Zealand we have
mm.
amazing parks, we have all these
Parks, yeah.
stuff we can use, that doesn't cost us. And so really utilizing that,
Mm,
uh, and making, our income stretch a bit further. Yeah, and being creative. And you kind of, once you get into a bit of a pattern, you get a bit of a
mm.
like, yay.
Yeah.
After every week, you've got, oh, I've saved a little bit here. And,
Yes.
and it is hard. New Zealand, is I'm originally from Australia. New Zealand is a bit of a harder country. Our cost of living is quite high for our
Mm,
what we earn and everything like that. And so just realizing, okay, how can we really stretch this in all areas?
that's
Um,
right.
yeah, and I've been here nearly 9 years, and I've
Mm,
got two
mm.
kids on one income, and so I do know it is can be a struggle. But you do sort of get a bit of a win when you realize, oh, okay, it might be small this week, but next week we might be bigger in terms of the saving. And so you get a little bit of a win, feel a bit empowered,
Yeah.
realizing, how you can do this.
True, true. Yeah, and I think when it comes to also like what you were saying earlier, Linda, about being minimalist, you can also like check on your
Mm.
local op shops too, where like,
Yeah.
if there's something there, you always have good finds in local op shops. I really love, sometimes
Yeah.
doing op shop as well. It's really good choices and options there. It's quite
Yeah.
unique. Yeah, it's quite a
Totally.
unique shop. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like
Mm.
often as parents, our babies they grow so quick. And so utilizing marketplace, buy and sell
True,
pages is
true.
is really
Yeah.
handy. And I mean, myself having a
Mm.
toddler, he goes to daycare and he gets paint all over it. He has lots of fun. And so his clothes get, they don't last a whole
Yeah.
don't last
The
long.
whole term.
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so buying, off marketplace, buy and sell,
Mm,
there's nothing wrong with that, and it does save your pocket. I think it's utilizing what we have around us is essential. It doesn't always have to be brand new, that
no.
is a luxury. So yeah, I think just realizing there's other options out there.
And you did mention, Linda, earlier about, I guess, our behaviors around money. And what are your thoughts about that? Like, what are other things that we can do to sort of be mindful, I guess, of how are we spending our money?
Yeah, I think it can be really confronting. It's something that we
Mm,
sometimes try and avoid, because to put everything out on the table and go, this is how much is incoming, with our
yeah.
wages or whatever else, and this is how much our outgoings are. And,
Mm,
where are we in that situation, and where do we want to go? And it can be
mm,
really hard.
mm,
And most of the time, some people are just making paycheck to paycheck, and to go and
true.
write it all down. It can be a bit vulnerable, a bit confronting. But
Mm,
if you are brave enough to kind of put it all down and realize, okay, we are just cutting it fine, but is there anywhere we can
mm,
stretch it? Is there anywhere that we can cut? And if you have a partner, really talking about your financial behaviors together. One
mm,
person may just be a bit of a spender, and not even really realize. But if you're breaking down your bank statements, they say about 3 months to go through
three
one
months.
night,
Okay.
and realize and highlight, okay, this is how much we're probably spending on money, and this is how much we're spending on takeouts. And if you're busy,
Mm,
you might have not realized, but you've had takeouts how many times in that week, and it happens, and
yeah.
it's real life. But I think it's just really hooning down and going, okay, this is what we're actually doing. And
Mm,
going, yeah, we could probably make that stretch a bit further, but how can we do it? And you don't have to do it alone. There's
no.
awesome financial advisors out there that are free at the community houses. You can go to the library, it doesn't cost you. Go and hire
Mm,
books out. So there's lots of resources there. Even if you talk to other parents, they've got really good tips.
mm,
So if anyone's got tips, at
mm.
home that
Yeah.
we don't know, share
Yeah. Yeah.
around, because you learn so much from other people, don't you, of
Absolutely.
how you can, yes, kind of stretch
Yeah.
it a bit further.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true, true. And also like, I think, putting your bills in automatic direct debits as well, like after you get paid, more often than not we get paid like what, Wednesdays or Thursdays. So yeah, and that way you know exactly how much is left in your budget, isn't it? How much you need to be spending on other stuff. Do we still have this for,
Mm,
petrol, for phones and etc. and all the other things that we need to pay for. Yeah.
totally. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, and it can be a stretch. I mean, obviously, when you have a
mm,
baby and go on maternity leave, that can be a bit of a hit, and that maternity
mm,
leave cover is not as much as your normal wage. And so, really trying
mm,
to go, okay, for this moment in time, however long you've got off work, we have to ride out living paycheck to paycheck, or quite close. But then later on,
mm.
what are our goals if we then have more income coming in? So it's just knowing where you're at in your life as well, and realizing, okay,
That's
sometimes
true.
there's no way that we can kind of squeeze that budget too much because of things like maternity leave. And just realizing, okay, our goal now is just to kind of ride that out and cut costs,
Mm,
even if it's not a huge cutting of costs in that budget, but it's just a little bit to go, this is what's realistic for now.
That's
Um,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And do you think there's still, like after doing all of this, the budgeting and all that stuff, and if you realize that there's still a little bit of room for our budget, what other tips and things that we can do, I think, like with activities and outings to make the most of our budget, do you think, Linda? What other things that we might be able to utilize?
Sure, sure. So I think, like I said before, in terms of like free activities, so
Mm,
um, parks, there's awesome community events. That's a free
mm,
thing. If you go on
mm-hmm,
Facebook events local near you, it will tell you, that weekend there's this happening, and there's
mm,
actually really good events that are often for free or low cost. For
mm,
me, it's when I bring the kids out, they might want to eat out, and so what I try
yeah,
and do is have our main meals at home, and then that
yeah,
way
yeah,
we can get an ice cream. So
yeah,
that cost is
dessert.
already less than
Yeah,
that main meal, and
that's
sometimes the
right.
kids don't even
Yeah,
eat it. And you're thinking,
yeah,
oh my gosh, I've just spent how much money on three main meals. So
that's true.
trying to do, yeah, trying to work your life around, okay, we spend money on our groceries, so we're going to use those groceries. And if
Mm,
we have room in our budget to spend on a treat or something that's maybe a luxury, then that
mm,
will be an ice cream. It will be a lower cost, a smaller cost,
mm, mm,
and looking at it that way. Um, yeah, and I think like if you want to go out and do an
mm.
activity, there's really good websites like First Table, which you get
Yes.
50% off your bill for eating
Oh.
out if you have a birthday, a special occasion, or something you really want to, but you're trying to fit that in your budget. There's
Mm,
things like
mm.
that. There's a website called Book Me, which is
Oh yeah.
activities for kids and adults all around New Zealand, but they're trying to
Mm.
to do it at the times that are less busy, and so those activities are cheaper. And so it's really
Oh,
just knowing,
cool.
okay, if we want to do something, before we're doing it, let's have a quick look online and see if there's any deals, and really getting crafty. I mean, the entertainment book I used to have when I was young, which are really good deals.
Mm.
It's 40 or 50 bucks for an entertainment book, but it's a whole year, and it's
It's a whole year.
areas and things like that. So just knowing what you like to do, and if you have room in your budget but you're trying to still
Mm.
do it as less as you can, then just reaching out to those
Awesome.
those offers and opportunities, and instead of kind of going, oh, we have to pay full price, it's like, oh no.
Yeah, no.
Don't always
Yeah,
have to.
no, that's really good. Yeah, really good
Yeah.
websites. I mean, I haven't heard of Book Me before, so that's really quite good. And in like in going out as well, I think what's your ultimate kid snack to make at home, Linda? What do you normally
Oh,
make at home? Like when it comes to kid snacks, I might get some tips from you.
Oh, well, I've got a 7-year-old and a
Yeah,
2-year-old, and my
yeah.
boy loves dairy, anything baked. Banana bread is a
Cool.
great one for us because you can freeze it.
Mm.
It also means that the bananas that go off, I don't waste. I put it straight into the freezer
Yeah,
and
yeah,
do
yeah.
that. And I follow the Edmonds recipe book,
Oh yeah.
which I live by the Edmonds recipe. It's great. Just slices, scones, savory, has main meals. You can
Mm.
access it online. You don't need to buy the book. So
Yeah.
it's quite helpful. um,
Yeah.
yeah. And one thing that I do that a lot of people think, oh, to meal prep, it's usually like a dinner, but you don't. You can
Mm.
actually meal prep breakfast, and
Breakfast,
breakfast time.
snacks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
breakfast time for us. I don't know about everyone else, but you're trying to get out the door as fast as you can.
Crazy.
And
Yeah.
sometimes that doesn't go according to plan. So having
Mm.
something in the freezer is really handy. So I make banana pie clips and then put it
Nice.
in the freezer. You pull them
Mm.
out, sandwich press them, and you're good to go. And you can be out the
Awesome.
door. So yeah,
Really
just, and
quick.
you can make little omelets, little kind of quiches that you can freeze. So it doesn't always have to be
Mm.
cereal and toast. It doesn't have to be eggs that you have to make. So
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
also, maybe getting a tiny bit of a sleep in as a parent as well.
Exactly. Oh, that's a good tip. I might need
Which,
those.
yeah, which is never bad.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And like what you said earlier, Linda, ask help if needed. Some of us we're just probably a bit too shy to ask for some help, or maybe we don't know
Yeah.
that actually there's help out there. Our plunket nurses in the community, our kaya finas are there. They know more what's there locally, so
Mm.
you might need to just give us a yell or let us know, so that we can extend our help to anyone who's
Yeah.
needing.
Exactly.
Mm,
And that help is non-judgmental. A lot of people don't
mm,
realize that we can get you in contact with food
that's
banks,
right.
food parcels, all sorts. We can do it on your behalf. So if you feel like you want to open up and say, we're going through a bit of a hard time, and so many people are, so you're not alone in
Mm,
that.
mm,
Then we can actually support in the way that you want and connect you and let you know where food banks are or things like that, or even
mm,
just contact a financial advisor if that's what you're looking for and get you in contact. So my role as community service coordinator is
mm,
we facilitate that support, and so often there's one of us in those areas for you, that if you're
mm,
talking to your nurse or kaiwhena or karatana, even the reception staff
mm,
at Plunket, just say,
mm,
hey, look, can I talk to a community service coordinator, if you're more comfortable with that, and we are in the community and we know what's around and things like that. So if we don't know, we will find out for you.
for
And
sure.
yeah, and there's some really good organisations that we work alongside that are fantastic. For me, there's a organisation called Loving Arms in the Waikato,
Mm,
and they
mm,
help out with so much for parents. That's food, clothing for the baby, cots, prams, all sorts, and that's a charity. And so
yeah,
there's so much good organizations out there. It's just connecting you, and that's what we do. So if you are
absolutely.
going through a rough time, yeah, do reach out.
Mm,
You're not alone.
yeah, yeah. And you can also call us at PlunketLine if you ever forgot, "Oh, how are we going to be referred to again? Who
Yeah.
are the people that we're needing to look or ask for help? You can call us at PlunketLine. We might not know exactly the answer or who are we going to be referring you to, but like what Linda said, we'll find someone that might be able to help you in the community.
Yeah,
Oh.
totally.
All right. Well, I think that sums up our chat for this evening, Linda. Have we gotten to what every parts of the chat? I think we have a yeah, we
Yeah, I
pretty
feel
much
like we
covered everything.
yeah. Oh, I think also just one thing that we didn't cover that some
Oh,
people
go
can
for it.
relate to, it's cooking. Sometimes
Mm.
you can do the meal prep, but you don't know how to actually cook. And that's
Ah,
okay. Your specialty
of
might be
course.
baked beans on toast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just kind of going, okay, maybe I do need to learn a thing or two more
Yeah.
in the kitchen. And there's great,
Microwaving.
yeah, so there's great community cooking classes. More often than not, the community
There
houses
you
do free
go.
cooking classes, and they can
Yeah.
teach you a bit. YouTube's always great,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
yeah, and it doesn't have to be hard things that
No.
recipes.
No.
Yeah, I think just cooking though can be quite a thing. Going, oh, well,
Yeah.
I didn't grow up cooking. But, this is all a bit new
Mm,
to me and things like that. So
mm, mm.
there are resources out there like the cooking classes, community houses. YouTube. There's a whole lot. Even just ask your friends. I'm sure they won't. They probably already know that you can't cook. Probably they'll be stoked to help you and make it a fun
Absolutely.
social thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's not like you're gonna be a master chef or something, but yeah,
yeah,
no, learning how to do the basic cookings, I guess yeah, no,
yeah,
that's really good.
totally.
I think we've done the meal prepping, the pros and cons.
Yeah.
We've done your tips and tricks, meal ideas, so we've pretty much covered everything. But if you guys have missed the chat or you feel that you've got other questions or anything that you wanted to ask, I know that you can still pop in the comment section, and our lovely admin can also send us the questions, and we'd be more than happy to help as well in some way. Um, but yeah, Linda, any other wisdom, any other thoughts that you might be able to share with us before we end?
I think the main thing is just find what works for you and your family.
Absolutely.
There's no saving any sort of money or even just making that
Yeah.
budget stretch if you're living paycheck to paycheck, that's okay as well. It's finding
Mm,
where you're at and where you want to go and trying to make those small improvements, and that's what matters. You know,
Mm.
sometimes it might only be a $10 saving, but it's a saving. And so just
Yeah,
focusing on the small wins and not on a huge
absolutely.
picture, making it, you know, you might be, well, our goal is this, we need to afford this. And it can be a bit
Mm.
overwhelming if you make that goal really big. So just
Yeah,
make it really small.
true.
And then as a family, or if you're a solo parent, whatever your situation, going, okay, you know, I'm going to just do this small thing. And then when I
Hmm.
can, I'm going to do a bigger goal and you
Yeah,
know, progress on that. And so celebrate those small wins when it comes to
yeah.
saving or stretching your budget, because that will keep you positive and
Mm.
encouraged to continue. Yeah,
That's right. One step at a time. One
yeah,
step at a time. Well,
definitely.
lovely to listen to all your input and all your lovely advice, Linda. And thanks for everyone who joined us here on this Facebook live chat. Again, have a lovely evening. Pumarie. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Linda.
Thanks, everyone. Enjoy.